everyone. It is March 31st. This is the Broadwater County Commission meeting. If you'd please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you everyone for coming. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping this morning. Again, this is March 31st. This is the Broadwater County Commission meeting. We do adhere to Robert's Rules of Order. The purpose of our civility policy is to open up Broadwater County public meetings to all county citizens. We realize we have a fiscal and fiduciary responsibility to conduct county business as efficiently as possible for all Broadwater County residents. Commission meetings are recorded and they are on YouTube, so please state your full name for the record. Any separate conversations need to be removed outside. Outbursts will not be tolerated. Public comment will give each person who wishes to speak 3 minutes to do so, and all comments should be directed to the board chair. So with that, we will begin. Is there any public comment?
I'll make a comment. My name is Mike Conkey, interim DES coordinator, and I'm going to be on the agenda next week with the commissioners at 10:30. I just wanted to briefly give you this proposal for a technical advisory committee for the Deep Creek flood mitigation project. We have a FEMA grant, and I think we need to address that with some help from technical advisors. And I'll just get it out today so the commission has an opportunity to take a look at it, as well as the public. And I'll be back next Monday at 10:30 for a public hearing on this issue.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Sorry. Good morning.
One of those moments.
Understood, yes.
Oh, thank you, man.
All right, is there any other public comments? Yes, sir.
My name is John Wright. Last Wednesday, I addressed a direct question requiring a direct answer from both of you commissioners, in fact, all three. Do we have a constitutional form of government in Broadwater County? Yes or no? Laurel, will you answer
This is
that?
public comment, John. We follow the Constitution, yes, but we do not necessarily have a constitutional form of government in the sense that you would like us to.
Well, what form do you think we have?
We have a commission form of government.
That is not a constitutional form of
Okay.
government. That is a...
John, move on, please. Do
Huh?
you have any more public comment? This is not public argument time.
Well, it is not. I want a direct
Okay,
answer.
thank you very much.
Well, I'm not done.
John, you're done.
I want
Please
to
sit
get
down.
an answer from Elaine.
John?
You're done.
All right, is there any more public comment? Public comment, Tim?
Madam Chair, I apologize for being uninformed here, but I didn't make the last Wednesday's meeting. And so if you would give just a possible real brief summary of your proposal to hire what's administrative executive for the county and where that funding is going to come from, or if you would just give a summary, I would appreciate it. Otherwise, I can talk to you after a meeting and whatever works best. Thank you.
Thank you. Gwen, would you please escort Mr. Wright out of the meeting? I've had it with the interruptions, the arguments, all of it.
Come on, John.
Thank you.
Walk.
All right. Any other public comment? No? Okay. Tim, to your question, we are going to be talking about what we discussed on Wednesday. It was a working meeting, therefore there were no decisions made. Those decisions will come before this board this morning. They are on the agenda. As far as hiring an administrative assistant, we haven't decided that. There was an idea proposed to the commission by a constituent, as we hear weekly from you and from Mr. Wright. Any constituent is more than welcome to bring forward any idea they would like. That was brought to the commission for discussion, and that's it. There was nothing done on that. The other thing is we were also asked about trying to change the form of government last week. We didn't do that either. We just merely had a working meeting where we discussed restructuring, and what we are looking at in the simplest term is not filling an FTE, just absorbing those jobs within the county. This other was another idea entirely brought to us by a constituent.
Okay, and that's gonna be discussed on the agenda today?
What was discussed on Wednesday and what we came to a decision on Wednesday, yes, will be brought to an official decision today.
Okay, and
Yes.
will there be a lot of public comment at that period of time as that's
Sure.
discussed? Thank you.
All right. This is not on the agenda, but if it's okay with the board, I'd like to add it next week. Something that's being started at the, so I don't know who started, I think it was University of Montana, and it's kind of catching fire around the state with different boards, and it's called Montana Minute. And what it is a minute that's taken at the beginning of a meeting to say something good and positive about Montana. So I would like this commission to start that next week immediately after public comment. It should take us about 3 minutes since there's 3 of us. And just to start it off, I would like to salute our kids who went to the play after the Conservation District Friday night, and they were phenomenal. Julie Deal and Jennifer Lane put in a tremendous amount of work. Ruby Hone came down to help as well, who's on a thespian scholarship at U of M. And it was a musical. The kids, it was fantastic. I can't say enough about the talent we have here.
I've heard some wonderful things about that.
Yeah, it was very good.
My positive comment is that I really appreciate all the groups in this county that are working together for so many different projects. I think that's a lot to be said. Big towns don't have that, but we do, and it is appreciated with everybody working together hand in hand.
Mhm. Franklin, this is kind of short notice, but you have a...
Elaine just said.
All right, so I will add that to the agenda next week if that's okay with you guys.
It's fine.
All
I think
right.
that's good.
All right, first on the agenda is a resolution of intent to enter into a contract with the Rodeo Club. I talked with, we have minutes. Minutes from March 24, 2014. Probably take care of last week's business before moving on. And those were emailed out on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I'll move that we approve the minutes. As
Well, we've
presented.
already approved.
No,
I was here to talk about the 50/50 wrap. Oh, we already talked about that.
it's
We
last
talked-
Monday's meeting.
But we'd already, anyway.
We talked about all that stuff in last week's meeting, and that's what makes up the minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And we approved those the week after.
I thought that was the week before that 50/50 wrap. I just happened to see that right there. Yeah, one thing on that road thing, that isn't between the private and it's a county road easement, and that
What are you
subdivision.
talking
This
about?
one right towards the end here, I think. Where you asked me for. changes. You know, she sends it over to the commissioners, and it says it's a dispute between landowners. Actually, that's that dirt pile I was talking about, that's on the road easement. So, I mean, we're involved in it,
Not according
nothing's
to
being done on it, but,
Susan Swimley, Tara Depew, the Mako land use attorneys commented on that about a year ago, and so has the county attorney. It is not a county issue. The easement situation has not been established. This is a private citizen issue.
there's two different easements in there. There's a utility easement through Mosted's, and this is the road easement on, I guess it's Stewart's ground, where you file all that dirt.
We've been
Anyway,
advised by legal that this is a private issue. We do not insert the county and her resources into private issues, Franklin. Do you have a suggestion for how you would like a discussion of last week to read differently? Then we can discuss it. We shouldn't be discussing that particular issue. It's the minutes that are at hand here.
And that's part of the minutes. I mean, the county is involved in it.
Okay, do we have a second for the motion? I will second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of March 24, 2014. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Franklin, what say you?
I'm for it all other than that one part I just mentioned.
Okay, this is not a debate over legal issues or county issues. This is over the minutes.
And that's what I just repeated.
Okay, would you please let the record show 2 votes aye and 1 commissioners decided not to vote? Okay, next on the 10:15, we have a resolution of intent to enter into a contract with the Rodeo Club and decision. We voted on this last week, and we put in the minutes that we intend to sign the contract with the Rodeo Club as soon as they get their insurance issue straightened out. I talked with Mike Saystad this week, and he said, you know, with all the back and forths, voting for one week, voting against the next, that it would be a whole lot stronger and more solid for the Rodeo Club and the Fair Board if we had a resolution of intent. So that's what I have here, is just a follow-up on the previous vote, and this is a resolution of intent. And because I know you're gonna ask me to read this, I'm gonna read it. Whereas, the Broadwater County Board of County Commissioners, resolution of intent to enter into a contract with the Broadwater Rodeo and Fair Association, Inc. That is their appropriate legal name. Whereas the Broadwater Rodeo and Fair Association, Inc. presented a contract to Broadwater County for and in consideration of the rents and covenants herein mentioned, lease certain real property and improvements known as the Rodeo and Fairgrounds situated on the county of Broadwater. And whereas the property and improvements known as the Rodeo and Fairgrounds is situated on land owned by the City of Townsend and Broadwater County, and whereas the City of Townsend has voted and signed the contract, and whereas the situated contract is for a 10-year lease, and whereas it was determined appropriate insurance, including fire insurance, is required for all real properties owned by the Broadwater Rodeo and Fair Association, Inc., situated on city-county property, and whereas the Broadwater Rodeo and Fair Association, Inc. is currently pursuing such insurance coverage, now therefore be it resolved that upon acquiring appropriate insurance coverage, including fire insurance for all real property, the Broadwater Board of County Commissioners intend to enter into a 10-year contract with the Broadwater Rodeo and Fair Association.
I'll make a motion that we approve that, as read.
Second.
Yeah, it's been moved and seconded to sign the resolution of intent with the Broadwater Rodeo and Fair Association, Inc. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Has there been any more feedback on their insurance, or they had any luck on anything?
I haven't heard anything.
I talked to John this morning, and he hasn't heard back yet from either Vince or Susan, who are going to be contacting their insurance. representatives, so things are still on hold. They have their next meeting, I think, on the 14th. So I imagine we'll have a full report at that time.
Good.
And if you guys could just sign it, and I will then pass it on to Ann.
Put a 2 on there, please.
Okay, got it.
The reason is, his signature is just a big 2.
All right, mail. Next, we have the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, known as CEDS, for 2014 through 2019. That copy will be kept in the Commissioner's office. We also have a copy in the Planning Office and Extension. And that covers Broadwater County, Marr, and Lewis and Clark, as well as those cities within the counties. CEDS, it's CEDS, and it's the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. It's a required document from the feds, which agency of it.
Boy, just look at how the population is on
Yeah.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes, Tim?
Just real quick, oftentimes, because of scheduling or whatever, there's nobody down at the commission office, there's nobody at the planning office, and Virginia can be out in the field at times. Would it be possible to have a copy of that available at the clerk and recorder's office where there is access to it?
I can request another copy, but I actually do take issue with there being no one in the commission office. I've been spending full-time hours down there. So, unless there's another meeting, there is somebody down there.
Okay.
But, yeah, we'll get one in the clerk and recorder's office.
Thank you.
You can also call for an appointment with any one of those offices as well.
We're trying to make it easy for people to get to it.
That's exactly right, and that's why we have staff that are available for that.
What the hell is this one?
it. It's economic, let me look back a minute.
Is this just another so often, or-
Uh-huh. Is it? Oh, it's for the next 5 years, is what it is.
Oh.
Look at how the population is gone
Mhm.
in 20 years.
That is a subdivision, there is
Huh?
a subdivision.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think just subdivision, I think people move into Broadwater County. A lot of people work in Bozeman and Helena and live here.
Mhm. Well, yeah. Mhm. Well, subdivision is a big part of it.
Mhm.
Judy, thank you.
A lot of good information. Value of owner-occupied housing units with a mortgage, the mortgage statuses, percent of occupied and vacant housing units, mode of transportation to work. A lot of stuff about ag. How many farms there are.
This one has probably went down, isn't it, or is it budget?
Well, it looks like it's gone up, but
Is there?
Question for you, if I may.
Yes.
What is the report for? What do you guys, is it just informational, or is there something else that you use it for, or?
Yeah, for starters, it's informational,
These are
some really good
big
information.
case.
But the real reason for it is that is our source of information for applying for grants,
Okay.
planning grants. This gives us what the outlook is for the next 5
No,
years.
it's down.
So when we go out for a planning
20,000.
grant, and we have several, we'll be doing several more, that document
Which is
will help
surprising,
fill
isn't it?
in
Well,
the different blanks that we need in order to
Those few
apply
years
for a
are
grant.
supposed to
And
apply
who
here.
Well,
prepares
that-
that document?
Montana Business
Oh, is this the-
Assistance Connection
Yeah.
prepares
Oh,
it.
here's the 212.
Thank you.
Yeah,
2002,
Oh, 2002, I thought it was 2000. Okay, yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Yeah, I was reading it, okay.
And the number of farms has gone down. I mean, it's gone up, I'm sorry.
Mhm. We'll see, increasing, again, with that price, we was
Oh, you know they
raising,
are.
raising it as cost we can.
Sorry, we had checked
no,
things
that's
out.
fine. Yeah, it's very interesting. So this will be in the commissioner's office. And we'll see about getting another one for the clerk and recorder's office. 5 more minutes. We have payroll for pay date ending 3/23/2014 in the amount of $132,261.
Even?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve payroll. With the date of 3/23/2014, $132,261.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign payroll for the amount of $132,261. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next, we have, let's see, we have a couple of claims here that just need to be signed so we can put them in the claims pile. And I'll give those to you. And in the meantime, I'll wait for you to sign so you can write down the number. Thank you. We have claims for $32,530.95.
I'll make a motion that we approve claims, $32,530.95.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the approved claims in the amount of $32,530.95. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And this claim came through last week, in our claims pile, but it is for money from PILT, and so it should actually be officially voted on by the commission. And it is for the power bill at the extension office in the amount of $1271.04.
I'll make a motion that we pay Northwest Energy $1,271.04 out of PILT.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to pay from PILT $1,271.04 for electric and heat at the extension office. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And I think we're in a holding pattern for a few minutes.
Or claims, ruling, or, by the judge's ruling, I was to turn in my claim,
Mhm.
and I did, and currently, Commissioner Oden turned it back down. As you know, in the judge's ruling, I was to turn in my claim. My attorney fees was $3,800, and a $220 or $120 filing fee and $100 to have them served. So it put the total bill at $4,020.
Why did
So-
that not just come under one?
Well, I itemized it out,
Oh, I see.
because they didn't have anything to do with those two parts of it. And so, that's why, and like I say, I itemized it, everything shows there, and the invoices are there, everything's stapled to it. So, I'm assuming I'll have something in the next couple of days, if not, I'm just gonna take it to the judge.
Okay.
Okay, a couple of corrections. The information you just gave the public is wrong. One, it was not the judge that determined that your fees would be paid by the county. It was your attorney contacting our attorney who asked for
And the
that
judge
in
accepted it.
exchange for dropping the case. Your attorney offered to settle. It had nothing to do with the judge. Number
It's still his
two,
ruling.
no, it wasn't. He approved the settlement. He did not rule. Number two, Commissioner Obert did not send it back, and you had a note on your claim that read from Tammy Rouser, the claim clerk. This claim and invoices are not making sense. Invoice number 10635 has a previous balance. We need to know what for. Receipt that Morrison was paid by Franklin. Also a $100 charge and payment made no sense. Tammy Rouser. What happened is a sheet of paper was turned in. It is not a receipt. We need to know that the $4,000 or the $3,832.62 was paid to Franklin's attorney before we pay him. Otherwise, his attorney can come back and say, hey, Broadwater County, you owe us $3,800 still. Number two, there are claims here that do not make sense to the claim clerk. One place states, it has here balance due 198.12. We have no idea what it's for.
That was the last billing from, the total billing was at, 3,000, or whatever it was there. And so then I called them back to make sure, and that was the last
You
billing,
don't-
at 198, and that's in that total amount. And it just
Franklin,
sent separate invoice, there, it's all showing right there.
Franklin, you've been here for well over a year now. You know you have to turn in receipts.
The receipts
you-
are there.
No, they're not. And you know you work this out with the claims clerk, not us. We approve it after she approves it. She didn't approve it. So we need to make sure that the facts are accurate here, Franklin. I know this is complicated stuff.
It sure was very complicated. On your attorney fees, all I saw on there says, over Gravely fees, and it went right on through.
There was a
For the
receipt
Butterworths.
there, Franklin, and you can
And
go
so, and
verify
I got
that.
the receipts there too.
No, it isn't. You need to turn in the receipts.
Oh, well.
Now, it's 10:30.
And I paid everything as it went along.
10:30, TSEP infrastructure planning grant for bridge repair on Deep Creek. It was tabled last week. Sean, would you please come forward?
Sure,
All right.
I can do that.
Thank you for coming back.
Sure.
Suntan and all.
I know. Not gonna rub that in. Well, maybe a little, but it
Just a tad, right?
was hard to come back to the snow though.
I bet.
Did you have a good trip?
I did, it was really relaxing, so.
Okay.
Okay, you have questions?
I think I'm just gonna hand it over to Franklin. He did not want to sign the resolution last week. I know we had voted 3-0 to approve the planning grant, and I think he had some questions. I'm just gonna let
Sure.
him pose those to you.
Yeah, because there's a, in fact of this, what Mike just was interim, I want to get interim committee on this.
That's a great plan.
Did you see that?
I did see that right
Yeah.
before I left. I am completely in favor of that. I think, because both Mike and I have, struggled a little bit trying to get everybody involved. That would really help us
Mhm.
a lot to get people there and involved and get the right people in the mix. And to me, that's what we've been looking for. And
That's
I
exactly right.
congratulate
And just
him.
like I brought it up the last time, there's different things, and if we start duplicating things, we're just gonna run into trouble.
Well, and we're not, hopefully not gonna be doing that on any account, but we need those people involved.
That's right.
And that's kinda what I talked to Justin and Denise and Ron and all those guys about. here last fall, and we actually changed the scope of some of our stuff so that we made sure we were not doing that. And, but this will help us in the right direction.
That's why I feel we gotta go through this here, and if we still need that other,
Well,
we can do
here's,
something on that later.
here's-
I'm not against
here,
doing it right
and
now.
I guess this is where I'm coming from, and I'll just explain this a little bit. This TSEP grant is focused only on the bridges. So it's the bridge portion of the FEMA grant. And basically, and I sent this email to Mike, which kind of explains the whole thing, but basically, FEMA gave us $26,000 for Carson Lane, $126,000 for Clopton Lane, and $96,000 for Lightning Barn Road. If we get into these, and some of these are gonna have to be replaced, we know that.
Mhm.
We may be able to get away with one of those just by making some improvements. One of them, I think we were talking about maybe just wing walls. However, even given that being the case, if we replace a couple of these and do improvements to one, this is still not gonna be enough money to do that. And that's why I brought the TSEP application in, is what it would do, and is it would provide additional funding for those bridges only. And TSEP money is only for what we put it in for, which would be those 3 bridges. And that's it. So what I was trying to do is make sure that once we get to the end of the road and we get through this planning phase of our FEMA grant, and we've determined we do need to replace 2 bridges and we need to fix 1, or whatever that ends up being. There's gonna be a cost associated with those. If this, and granted, this money that they gave us is only 75%. So whatever the cost is, they're only gonna pay up to this amount or 75%, whichever, it gets to. That TSEP application would cover that remainder, and that's what it's for. If we don't apply now, we will have to wait until 2015 to reapply. And that puts us out of the window of our FEMA grant. So that's why I kind of brought this forward. And it's, we have a good opportunity here to at least apply for it. It's not guaranteed, but it would, basically, we wouldn't have to have funds coming right out of the county funds to do this. And if we don't put the application in, we're gonna have to find that 25% matching funds somewhere. So that's what it's for, that's what it's all about. Hopefully that answered any questions.
Well, there was a person spoke last week, he's from that Deep Creek Advisory, or whatever it is there, and he felt, and that's the way I feel too, get some of these estimates laid out, and according to what I read of this here a little bit, that's what we would find. So that's why I think we should take care of this first, and then see if we're gonna apply for that.
Well, the planning grant that we're applying for does just that. It lays out a preliminary engineering report to do just that, to get those costs nailed down. Now, it doesn't mean you have to submit that grant. Doesn't mean you have to submit that grant, but it does lay those costs out. I know just by looking at these, just from my experience, that you're gonna need more money. I can tell you that right now. It's not gonna be enough to cover. And that's why I brought that forward. No other reason other than I know things are tight down here and you've got a lot of demands for your money, and this is one way of lessening that burden to Broadwater County. And that's really all it is.
Yeah. Don't you think we're kind of getting the horse in front of the cart, though? We should get more of these figures first, so we could be, like you say, you don't have to put in for this, but, so that's the thing, if we get this information, I don't know how long it takes to
Well,
finish
basically,
up on this.
the $30,000 that would consist of the planning grant, which would be at no cost to Broadwater County. basically sets out, I mean, we could do it with the FEMA grant, we've got that money, but then you're gonna have to pay, you know, we're gonna have to match that with other stuff that we already have. We could do that without putting this money in. But what it does is it allows you to keep some of that money, more money for construction purposes. And so you can do it without it, but it leaves you with $30,000 less in the end.
Yeah, I'm not, maybe we do never, but I'd like to see this, a little more on these costs through this, I guess you call it kind of like a steering committee or
Yeah.
advisory committee.
If we do the TSEP application and they give us the plan grant, which they say they will, I will work exclusively with that group. We'll come up with basically a preliminary engineering report that shows here's what needs to be done. And we would, you know, my thought is we do just exactly like Mike laid out and just work through these to make sure everybody's comfortable with where we're at, what we're doing, and how we're doing it. And that's part of the preliminary engineering that we would have to do as part of the grant. And then from there, you know, you could submit the grant, then it would coincide well. And that's the problem with this funding, is it only comes every 2 years. And so if
Is there a certain time you have to apply for it?
basically it's due May 5th. That's a lot of work to do in the next 30 days. And you know, part of it's my fault. I didn't bring it to you probably in time, but we didn't have a match for it either until just recently. And now we do have a match, and so it made sense for me to bring it to you because, you know, it's no out-of-pocket expense for you guys. And that's, like I say, what I'm trying to do is just minimize the cost here and make sure we can get this all done.
Where's the match coming from then?
The match actually will come from MBAC. I've been talking to Chris Shove. Basically, they sold that property out in Toston. And they do have some money. They want to gear it toward tourism and such, which is good. But it would be nice to have them put a little bit back, and this creates jobs too. Building bridges creates jobs. So they've agreed to match that.
It sounds to me like it's a win-win.
It is, and I understand where you're coming from, Franklin, I do. But this is the first step. Your second step you're talking about comes immediately after this, getting that stuff done. And, you know, like I say, this was on my agenda to talk to Mike about, and he took the ball and did it, and I'm really glad he did, because it's perfect. It's exactly what we needed.
Too bad it wouldn't have been about a month sooner on this.
Absolutely, we needed it, and, but we're here with it. I mean, I guess the bottom line is with the TSEP applications, we need to look at those 3 bridges. We do. And maybe there's a few others that we need to look at through the process too, I don't know, but we'll find that out. But we need to look at those 3 that were part of the FEMA application. We need to, you know, figure out how long the bridges need to be, whether they need new abutments, how much it's gonna cost. All of those things need to be figured out.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong, but in 2011, when we had the big flood here, those were the 3 bridges that gave us fits, is that correct?
They did, yeah, those were the 3, as you recall, the one of them, I believe it's Carson, right, that has the double culverts?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was just one culvert up until.
It had 1 culvert up until then, and then now we've got 2, but we still have a very significant constriction there. It needs to have a bridge. And then, I believe Lightning Barn has some significant erosion around the abutments. Ron Spoon actually brought that.
I think that's a culvert too, isn't it? Is that, I think it's a culvert. I
It
don't
might
think
be a
that's
culvert,
bridge.
maybe it was Clopton that he showed me that had
Yeah, that's when
the
they
the
eroded.
erosion around the abutments. And so those three are,
That's when they figured they could take care of with riprap.
yeah, and that's possible. We'll look at it. So. I know the conservation district likes us to lengthen all these out. So that'll be part of what we look at. To see where it goes.
Any other questions or concerns, Franklin?
No, other than you already said what my concern was.
I understand.
Is there anything more
If-
Sean can elaborate
If we
on
did
for you?
apply, we don't need it.
Then we can turn it back. We don't need it. These grants are, you don't have to take the money. And that's the great part about it, is they don't penalize you for turning the money back. And that'll be the job of you guys and this technical advisory committee that Mike's suggesting. You know, it's my job to bring you the technical part. That's what my job is. And it'll be your job to make those tougher decisions about what you really want to do with that. As far as that goes, I mean, you know, any of these grants, we do not have to do it.
The other piece of this is the large FEMA grant is huge. It's a
Yeah,
big project.
I know that.
The match, from day one, the commission told Bill Fleiner at the time, the county's not gonna come up with that. It's gonna have to be a combination of a lot of different things. And that's when, he said, you know, what we'll try and do is match, with grants, that match that would be required. What's beautiful about this is a planning grant, so that the technical can look at these different bridges and what they need from the engineering perspective, and then come back with an appropriate amount that has some science behind it. The process also gives us the match for the big grant.
It does, because it's state money.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but those bridges were already looked at and stuff, because that's why there's already figures, right?
No, I looked at them, and I just threw some numbers out, very rough. I haven't really done an investigation out there, because that grant went together so quickly. If I'd had a little more time, yes, I would have went out there and done a more thorough investigation.
So those
But-
figures don't really,
They're just a very rough estimate. That's all they are, frankly.
but I also understand that there's that bridge was figured in of Terry Frost, which he's already completed that himself.
And that's not gonna be part of our assessment. We can't. I mean,
Right, but
It's-
it's figured in that,
well, his
Well, I understand.
residence was actually figured into the original grant. And there are other things going on there that we could possibly address. That dike that's out there,
Mhm.
The erosion along that curve that goes around. Those are all part of that structure. So we're gonna talk to Montana DES about some of those things. But the bridge, no way. I mean, he already replaced that with
Mhm.
FEMA funds. If we try to do anything with that, we're already, you know,
Mhm.
stacking the deck against ourselves. And that's what's nice about having this technical group too. They, you know, like Dwayne and Justin and all those guys, they know what's gone on out here, and that way we're not, like you say, duplicating those efforts. But these, just the bridges we're looking at, the TSEP grant is only for the county bridges. That's it. And if we can get this funding, then you guys, all your match requirements are taken care of.
How much would the match be on that 30,000? Wouldn't be that much, would it?
Oh, well, that
5,000?
30,000 will count towards your match, your overall. So it's all state funds, state and private funds. So you've got $15,000 from the Treasure State Endowment Program, which is state money. And then you've got a $15,000 match from MBAC, which is basically private. And then, so you have $30,000 that you can apply as additional match toward the FEMA grant. And that could actually help, if you guys have more match, and somebody, you know, one of the landowners had a real bad problem, and they couldn't really afford it, and we already had extra match, it could help them.
Yeah, there's another thing, he said some of those things that were on the plan on that, they're not gonna happen now. I don't
Well,
know for sure, but that's what
And,
I heard
and
that
and I
too.
think that's probably true. I mean,
Besides the natural healing that's been done up there,
yeah,
nature itself on
yeah.
some of those
There were,
watersheds.
there were
drainages.
there were 9 structures and 4 bridges that were put into this original grant application. And I didn't really have a lot to do with the original structures. That was Bill just running out, talking to landowners and saying, did you have flooding? Okay, let's put a grant application together, and if we can do something about it, great. If not, we won't do anything. Part of the phase 1 assessment, and the reason why we did it the way we did is because we didn't have the money or the time to go out and really do a thorough investigation of what went on, and really put some science behind it and say, okay, can we do something beneficial here? And so that's what the phase 1 part is all about, is just getting that part done. And those 9 structures, we will have to go out and talk to each one of those landowners, get an idea of what's going on, put some hydrology and hydraulics behind it, and figure out what the problem really is, if we can do anything about it, and that'll be the big one, if we can do
Am I
anything
getting
about
this,
it.
what's the 319 grant? That's different from the FEMA.
That's different, yes.
So what,
So the 319 is more of a water quality standpoint from the watershed. So they're looking at it more from a watershed perspective. The FEMA grant actually looks at individual structures within the watershed. And really our whole point was to try to tie the FEMA grant to their stuff. So that, and kind of the point I was making earlier on in several of my discussions with you guys is, let's not do something at one point that causes a problem, either upstream or downstream. So let's coordinate with everybody that is working on this whole watershed and make sure that we're doing the right analysis to make sure we're not harming something else by doing something here. And that's really, I guess, the point of getting everybody together and, you know.
you're right,
working
yeah.
through it.
Actually, I don't wanna be a stickler in this, because there's been a lot of work done already, but I'm still concerned about, like I said before, we got the cart ahead of the horse.
Yeah, yeah. All I'm trying to do.
And I guess too, where those could be turned back.
Yeah. All I'm trying to do is just set the funding up, and then we will go through exactly what your process you're talking about. We'll scope everything out, we'll assess everything, we'll do the investigations at every site, we'll put costs to everything. Then we'll come back to the committee and say, all right, here's what we looked at. What do you guys think? Here's the data. And I'll just, I'm not gonna try to sway them one way or the other. I'm just gonna say, here are the facts. And this is what we have. So,
Any more questions for Sean? Any more concerns?
Somebody-
We'll wait on that.
I pretty much said, I think you know how I feel on it, I mean, not that I'm against it, I'm just against certain parts.
yep, I think I know where you're
And
going.
I guess as long as it's in there what I addressed, I am,
We're not gonna apply for anything without coming back in front of you guys. And that's the bottom line. And that whatever this, we gotta make sure we get buy-in from the people that Mike suggested here to make sure they'll put the time in, but their recommendation is gonna come to you. It's not gonna be us coming to you, it'll be their recommendation
Mhm.
coming to you. That's the way I would see that working.
yeah, no, it's a good plan, like I say, we're just a month or two behind, really, you know.
We are, and
And,
and we're trying to, squeeze a lot in right now, but we will have a little more time to get everything flushed out. The other thing is coming pretty fast, gonna be coming pretty fast to you guys, is the NRCS has kind of entered back into this a little bit. They would like to potentially fund the LiDAR portion of this. but they want an expanded area from what we were looking at, which I think is fine.
None of that's been done yet.
No, but we need to get it done probably this week or next, or we're gonna have some water and we're gonna be really behind. So like I say, they'd like to fund it, but they want an expanded area. Right now, they're working on an agreement that they would like to get in place with you. And basically what they want out of it is they would like a little more detail on the hydrology side. So that if they have a fire up top, they can play with individual portions of the watershed and see what that will do as far as, the amount of water that comes down the watershed. So that's what they want out of it. I don't feel like that's an unreasonable request. If they do pay for the LiDAR, we'll have the money available to go ahead and make that happen for them. And so it seems like
It could still
it
be
seems like
used,
a reasonable request to me.
yeah. It could still be used as a match too on the big grant.
No,
No, okay.
no, it's federal money, so you can't do that. It's just, again, it's partnering. They've looked at it as kind of they can use that data, and if they have somebody with an irrigation structure, then they have that LiDAR data and they can go in and they can do what they need to do with it. And they've also got the hydrology model, which they can then play with that and do what they need to do for their stuff.
Now, when they get that in, will that show each structure that's on there?
What's that?
That LiDAR will show the structures on there, where they're at, won't it? Or does that just show the landscape type thing?
It'll show mostly just the landscape, but the aerial photos that we'll have will show.
But it show the
Yeah.
ditches and structures.
Mhm. Yep. So guys, if you're okay with that, I'm gonna try to proceed with that very quickly, because like I said, we need to get that flown. I guess the bottom line is if they don't get the agreement to me like this week, we're gonna have to just pull the trigger and do it,
Mhm.
and that'll be what it is, but I guess I would need your authorization to proceed with them.
The grant that you've written at this point, was that gonna be able to be used as a match for the LiDAR?
There really is no match for the LiDAR yet.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm good with it. I think the partnering is the important thing. I also think the information is the important part of it. If we can expand the information for a wider use, then like Elaine said, it's a win-win. So I'm okay with it. What about you guys?
I'm fine with it.
Franklin?
Actually, I don't want to be a stickler, but I just want my reasons to be in there, not forgotten about.
No, I understand.
And I'd like to see that part of it
Mhm.
stay in there, And,
I think that's fair.
Do you want a motion?
I think I would, yes.
I also move.
Okay, do we have a second?
and I'll second with my conditions that we talked about.
It's been moved and seconded to sign the resolution to authorize submission of TSEP application. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, do you want this original? And,
If I could, I will make sure you get a copy back.
all right,
I'm gonna hand deliver that to them today.
wonderful. Well, thank you for coming down, and the explanation is
Sure.
excellent.
Got me out of the office.
You've been out of the office.
I know, I need to get back in there and just kind of slide back in easy, so.
Madam Chair, can we bring up one other thing?
Mhm.
It's not on the agenda, but I just want Sean to be aware of what's going on. We have the Deep Creek watershed drainage ditch. It's got some major problems.
The Broadwater, Missouri Canal.
No,
No.
no, it's the Deep Creek drainage.
Oh, okay.
Right below the Montana ditch up there.
Yeah, okay.
And what had happened last fall when, with heavy winds, and the ditch filled in with tumbleweeds.
Okay.
And it's a large ditch,
Because,
and they're gonna have to come in with, not backhoes,
excavator.
Yes, thank you. I can see them
And clean it out.
and clean it out. If we don't, the whole town, at that end,
Yeah, that's a
flood.
problem, for sure. That's a problem, for
And
sure.
so the commissioners are gonna meet tomorrow night with the city council, if you're available.
I will be.
I think FEMA's supposed to be here today.
Right.
Not on that, though, they're just here on roads.
Well, I
So
think-
the city
Yeah.
council
I
meeting
think Judy was
tomorrow.
gonna hit from there.
Well,
Mhm.
Judy asked me to tell, Dana, have FEMA get a hold of him.
Oh,
Okay. So,
Um.
so would you like me to attend the council meeting tomorrow night?
I think we do.
And also, if you could talk to Mike Conklin and Tim Rouser, they've kind of been working on this. I talked to Mike this morning.
I can do that.
He's got some really good thoughts on that. And if you are available at 7 o'clock, I guess, is our time
Okay,
to talk about this.
not a problem. I'll be actually out tomorrow looking at bridges, so
Oh,
I'll
very
stop
good.
by and take a look at that and get some photos along the way.
You know, right here, on this property, both sides of the highway, where it comes under the highway, right up here, about a mile out of town. I mean, you can see all those tumbleweeds in there soaking wet. And we're headed for a heck of a wreck.
Okay. Yeah, flooding in that side of town will not be good.
No,
Understood.
and sorry for bringing that up, but I just
No,
want him to be
thank you.
aware
Yeah.
what's going on with that.
Okay, if he takes the original, I can't file.
Oh,
Can you just give me a copy?
Oh, absolutely, no
Okay.
problem with that.
That'll work.
Okay. Alrighty, let me go down and do that.
all right, thanks a lot, Ann.
Okay. So this document that Mike prepared, I'm assuming you guys are all in agreement that this is the way we wanna go? I would highly recommend this is the way I would like to go with it.
Mike's gonna be on the agenda next week, so we can make it official and
Perfect.
vote for it. It's
Perfect.
kind of reminiscent of those breakfast meetings we were having there monthly for a while, about a year and a half ago.
Right.
Well, now, probably 2 years ago. But I think we kind of dropped that when everything kind of became, fell into turmoil. So I think getting it back together and having an official advisory group with those names on it, I think is hugely beneficial.
I like it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. And then I will, if the NRCS gets me an agreement, I will have that in front of you next week,
Okay.
if they get me one. If not, we'll just go ahead and get it done.
Do you want me to put it on the agenda just so that it's there, just in case?
That would probably
I'll just
be great.
put you right after Mike, which would be like 10:45?
Sure. Works.
Okay. NRCS LiDAR
Yeah,
agreement? Okay.
that works.
LiDAR again is L-I-D-A-R.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks,
You
Ann.
guys are getting the terminology down.
Slowly but sure.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you very
You bet.
much.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the
Yeah.
snow.
To the snow.
Thanks, Scott.
Sure thing.
All right, next on the agenda, we're a little bit behind, but that's okay, that was good information. The county office restructuring decisions. This is what we had a little bit of public comment on before, sorry about kicking a cane there. What we had on Wednesday was a working meeting to just kind of hash out a couple of things. I guess first things first, what we are preliminarily looking at this time is not filling the position of finance officer / administrative assistant. The total payroll per year with Fringe was about $70,000. And so that is money that we're looking at saving the county for starters. So the first piece with that is the discussion we had involving the need to file in the commission's office. I simply don't have time with getting mail done, doing correspondence, taking care of the day-to-day commissioner work. So we talked about the weed secretary has been looking for more hours. She currently makes about $10.25 an hour, and asking her to come in. We did have another employee who had helped set up the filing system years ago, and she said that it is such a big mess now that we really do need somebody that can go in and just clean things up, kind of fix the situation, so that then another employee can come in for just maybe an hour or two a week and file for us. But we've got to get it fixed in order to get to that point. So we agreed on Wednesday to make it official here that we would offer these hours and this project to the weed secretary.
Correct.
All right. Any further discussion on that? Okay. We have Scott here as well, and Virginia. Thanks, guys. Any comments on that part of our discussion from you guys? Okay. Any other comments? Do we have any vote from the board on that piece of it?
Also move.
We have a second?
No, second.
It's been moved and seconded to ask the weed secretary to come in and fix the filing in the commissioner's office. All those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I have one question
Yes.
before we go further. Do we have to advertise it in-house first?
I'm not sure if we would or not. I'll check with, I'll check on that. If we do, then I will. It's adding a project, but it's not really adding a job. It's a temporary
Right.
chunk of work that needs to be done versus a ongoing position at this point. So I don't think so, but I'll double check so that I make sure we
Just
cross
make
every
sure.
T and dot every I. Yeah, the second piece we talked about was a new position of accounting manager. This would be essentially the accounting manager would oversee payroll. They would work with departments and department heads on their individual budgets. They would put together the county budget, and they would work with our auditing firm to put together the audit. They would also be a department supervisor with staff that's already there. They would be a HR point of contact only for those HR issues related to payroll. They would still chair the Health Insurance Committee. Their office would be in charge of the cash reconciliation. This would be done by staff. Filing would be done by staff after it's fixed. Fuel cards would be done by staff. And the phone and email list would be done by staff of that office. Fixed asset list would be done by that office staff. Work comp claims would be done by that office, and then passed on to the safety committee. And then the county insurance would be handled by that office. We talked about a pay. The finance officer previously was making a little over $22 an hour, and we talked about a new pay for this position at $20 an hour, since it is a new position. And any other items I forgot on that?
Okay, so,
Okay.
but we do have to go in-house advertising first.
Yes, this position, after it's brought to the commission that there's a need, we get that in the minutes, and then we put together a job description and advertise 5 days in-house. If we have a qualified employee already, then that position, we follow the process. We will interview and then hire from within if we're able. If we don't have someone who's qualified, then we will go outside through the hiring process. So,
Now, if I recall, if there's in-house could handle that, then we're just gonna pay them the extra,
mhm.
right?
Mhm.
The additional, if it is filled in-house, would be another $7,000 on the budget, about 7,500. Any comments? Anything I
No.
forgot? All right. I would entertain a motion to proceed.
So moved.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to proceed with the accounting manager position. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And I should also add it $20 an hour for the minutes. And then the third thing we talked about, and this was public comment, we did receive a suggestion from a constituent that we consider a position that would be essentially HR and treasurer. There's been some, there was an argument over whether or not we should contract HR services out of house. The person who's been working with us on HR for the last year has been Jim Nyes with Personal Plus, and at this point, he is only doing an HR audit. We are on the verge of not having HR in Broadwater County, and it is a service that we have to have for our employees. So this citizen brought forward a job description that we looked at. We could certainly tweak, we could evaluate, but we can look at, or did look at possibly bringing HR in-house rather than contracting. And then also would be performing some of the treasurer duties, superintendent of school reports. There's some MCA that states that there's certain requirements that we can include into the description. And we passed out several job descriptions. So anything more on that?
This pretty much pertains to what Doug talked to us.
That's a big piece of it, yes. Yeah, we didn't come to any kind of a decision on that. That's certainly something we'll be addressing. If you guys, if employees have any opinions on whether you'd like to have HR in-house that could help with day-to-day personnel management, or if you'd be comfortable with a contract situation, that's certainly something I think maybe a department head meeting should be had to get your input on that.
Would you, because currently treasurer and clerk and recorder are in one position, right? So would you split those apart? Or will-
That's something that Doug has talked about, but he is not interested in doing it now. He wants to kind of get, he's just getting his feet under him after a year of being thrown into the position. So what he wants to do is kind of just solidify the department, figure out exactly how much work there is now that he knows what's going on, and then determine, is that needed, is that the best option? He's talking with other counties, and right now, the only 3 counties in the state that have the 2 positions, or really 4 position combined, are Missoula, huge county, Lewis and Clark, and Broadwater. No other small counties have done this. So he's talking to a lot of other treasurers and Rhonda Wiggers, figure out, is this best practices, or what does it look like if it is divided out again? So at this point, we don't know. So, any other comments?
And another one.
Yes.
Just for the public, Rhonda Wickers is the lobbyist for the Treasurers Association.
Sorry, yes, thank you,
And that's what her connection is to it all.
yes. She works closely with Harold Blatty as well, and also knows the MCA and the requirements just off the top of her head, which is a nice tool for us to be able to tap into. Any other questions from the public on this? Yes, Trudy?
Trudy Southwick, if it is separated out, would the treasurer position be an elected position then?
Mm-hmm. Yep. If it is married to an HR position, then it would probably be an employee of, probably under the commission, so that we have that checks and balance, that division between the two. Not sure how that would work, and that would be some other things we have to look at. Perhaps an employee under Doug, that could work too. We'll have to get to some of those details. This is something that, was brought to us for us to think about. And so at this point, it's just kind of putting all the pieces together to determine how it could work and what needs to be tweaked. So, yeah. All right, anything else on that? Okay, we will move on then to 11 o'clock. Oh, Doug had mentioned earlier that we got a couple of emails this week from both DIS and First Call, which are the two computer companies, or the internet accounting companies that he's thinking of switching to, and they both had to cancel and reschedule. Those are both rescheduled for next week. So the only thing we need here now is, we're good with the computers thanks to Paul Bray, who is not here today. We just don't have the protections on those. So this is a short-term situation that we can be in for a while. Do you guys want to revisit okaying the mineral royalties to be used for computers for Doug as he needs, or vote on that at this time? The agenda reads computer upgrades decision.
Let's wait till we have some more information back.
Okay, is that good with you, Franklin?
Fine with me.
All right. So we have 1 minute to 11:15. So we'll go ahead and call Brenda up. Brenda Ludwig, Sheriff, budget line item for care of horses
And goats.
and goats. Thank you, you guys.
And now we got 2 extra goats.
Oh, she kidded
We had- we had two more
more
kids yesterday.
Oh, did you? And what are their names now?
Huh?
And what are their names now?
Nikki and Jeannie. They were girls.
Oh,
They're cute.
Oh, they're completely different than the others.
Oh, are they?
We discussed them this morning. Line item, budget for care of horses. First off, I applied last week with ASPCA for a grant, $14,500. And hopefully we'll find out soon from them on that. I had to get with Debbie on last year's budget and this year's budget and provide them with that information.
So is that to pay for hay?
It's, well, I've got it, I brought actually a copy of the entire budget for you guys. I only brought one and I apologize for that. But I just finally got it to print out. I've got 35, this is for a year,
Right.
so this is an entire year, it's an approximate. I sat down with Jane Heath from the Horse Sanctuary and she helped me out with this. And it was about 35,360 worth of hay, approximate.
How many tons is that?
Oh, I have to figure it out. I have it written down, $4,500 worth of supplement, 5,250 worth of dental, 3,000 worth of dewormer, 500 worth of mineral blocks, just under 7,000 worth of farrier, 3,000 worth of vaccination, 12,000 other veterinary care, 6,000 worth of boarding, and that's if the rodeo ground, they decide to, charge us for boarding. About 4,000 if we have to transport the horses to another location or to the vet, She had us figure in each day if we have to go up there one trip, like for our wages, for like an hour at a time. So we figured three times a day, and then we just used our flat rate wage, and that figures out to about 22,000. And then the mileage,
Now this is for a whole year, correct?
yeah, for a whole year. And then the mileage from the sheriff's office to the rodeo grounds and back. And we use the 0.56. And just the mileage and fuel on the vehicles, that comes up to 18.56. You can have this, you don't need to write it all down if you don't want to. I'll just give this to you.
okay.
On the vehicles. But the total amount for 1 year is $100,446.
Good Lord.
you know, and that's for an entire year. That's figuring high, and she said to figure high, but they wanted a projected budget.
You have to figure high.
Yeah, because you never know.
You don't know.
And the only thing that they pay on are the 29 horses, and they go 500 per horse per year, and you can apply once a year.
And that's the 14,
Yeah,
the 6,
yeah, 14.5.
14.5.
So, she told me when I get get the line item in the budget to resubmit this year's budget, showing the horse care in there, because they'll want to see that. But she said also send pictures of the horses and the goats. They might go up, the maximum they can give one entity is 15,000. And they might go up to the 15,000 because they do ask about other animals. So,
Excellent.
and I've also got another grant from that attorney firm, but I'm waiting for a letter from Carla
Okay.
on that one, so. But I wanted to let you know that I did apply for that. So the line item for the budget on the horses, back to you. This, getting ready in the insurance review committee. I guess I've never set up a line item for horse care.
No.
Do you want me to set it, have Debbie set it up as one line item, or?
I would imagine that she would set it up much like a budget and divide out the different categories per the bars chart. And I think that it's appropriate that it's under emergency, since that's what this is. And I would think for the rest of the year, we're probably looking at a third of the overall one-year estimate. So I would suggest we put 35,000, which is increasing it just a little bit again, because we don't know, into that emergency line item. Let her set it up with the different categories that she'd given her, and have that for you to use. The claims would just come out of that particular fund number.
Do we have any idea how long we're gonna have them
They
at all?
don't. Well, we still haven't the charges still haven't been filed against them.
Oh, all right.
And they were gonna get it filed last Friday, but they didn't. So that's what we're kind of waiting on.
And isn't there a borough out there too?
Yeah.
They're cute.
Yeah, you should stop out and see them. You know, and they are improving.
Mhm.
Here's one. They're all the way through.
Yeah,
You know, so-
yeah. No, you guys are doing a fabulous job, and now are being well cared for, so thank you.
You know, some of them still aren't out of the woods, but,
Really?
yeah. You know, we dewormed last week. So,
Awful situation. Dan Anderson is the chair of the Helena Humane Society, and they were actually able to get something like $800,000, those Malamutes. So I'm gonna get in touch with him. I just got his, the information this weekend, so hopefully we can get some money there as well.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you know, and I don't know if he'll wanna call you himself, but I'll let you know, give you a heads up.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we do an emergency budget for the care of the horses.
Second.
Friendly amendment of 35,000?
That's the one.
All right. It has been moved and seconded to set up an emergency budget for the care of the horses of 35,000 through June 30th. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. If you still have them, then we'll revisit that and have a line item for you in the new fiscal 15 budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I'll explain to her that our fiscal years,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that it only carries through, and then once we establish our next budget, we'll have to redo this.
Well, and what we would take is this number, 100,446, and we could apply that to the next budget. The 14.5 thousand grant will apply to this year. I would imagine that's a January to December year?
It'll go actually from, as soon as I apply this year, and then
Oh.
if we still have it this time next year, I can reapply.
Okay, an actual year then.
Yeah, actual
Year
year
of
to year.
need.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, question, Madam Chair.
Mhm.
Well, if they're still here come fair and rodeo time, what are we doing?
That's why I put the $4,000 worth of transport.
Okay,
And the 6,000 for boarding,
Yeah.
yeah. There was talk last week of if you had to move them, going possibly to the Three Forks, the
Yeah.
stockyards down there. Could you utilize a private person's
See, and we talked
facility?
about that too. I suppose it depends on what condition they're in by that time.
Sure, yeah. Hopefully by then, we'll be able to get some of those characters back to their owners.
That's what I'm hoping,
Good luck
hoping
on that,
for.
though.
Yeah.
I said good luck on that, though.
Well, we've got 5 of them that are privately owned right now.
Mhm.
out of the 29.
Can't you get rid of those, put them back to the,
Not until I have a order to release them, because they were seized under a search warrant.
should push for that then, so get rid of 5 would help.
Because it's gonna be increasing. Not only in
That's
goats,
the
but some of
mare.
the mares are bred.
Oh, man.
Do we know how many?
We don't have a clue. Like you said, they had 7 studs out there.
So, whatever, I'm probably was bred, unless they lost it for being too,
Yeah, 6 studs in the jack,
Hmm.
so,
Are there more goats that are bred?
well, they've got one other ewe that, we don't know if she is or not, and they get the ram, we're gonna, and these ewes, we're keeping him away from them, because their cycle is pretty quick, so,
Yikes.
yeah. I don't know, it's all,
Well-
I don't know anything about, I've never had goats. This is all a new experience, I mean, cows. I looked at those 2 kids last night, I'm like, are they supposed to look like that? I mean, I've never,
Are they tiny or something?
no, they're furry and they got long ears, I've never seen goats like these. I guess I've never seen,
They look like a baby
I've never
rabbit.
had, what's that?
They look like a baby rabbit.
You,
Do
you
they?
had goats?
Mhm.
Yeah, I've never, I'm serious.
Yeah, they look like a baby rabbit.
Yes.
When you first glance at them because of their long ears.
I asked, are they supposed to look like that? I've seen goats with little short ears, big kids. I've never, we never had goats growing up, with cattle and horses and pigs and chickens and.
So question, is that because of the breed they are?
Yeah, some of them have the really long ears, like the other ones you have the little tiny short ears. It almost looks like they don't have any ears, but that particular breed has the longer ears. And that's the one that I had, and when I brought it home, my husband thought it was a rabbit. When he first
And they got long hair, longer hair. I was like, there's something wrong. I did too.
Yeah, they're sweet.
And they're bigger than the ones that were born 2 weeks ago.
Breed.
I was expecting to see similar to the other ones. and Something wrong with those things. Evidently not.
Well, the good news is they're being taken care of properly now.
Absolutely. Hey, any money you've spent out of your budget so far, track that too, and we'll reimburse it out of the emergency fund?
We haven't yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you do before that's set up, just keep track.
I've been kind of just sitting on the side until we met, and I'll get with Debbie and we'll set up that line item.
Okay. Yeah.
maybe check on the process of taking control of them, where you can sell them, give them away, or do whatever. What's,
I don't, and I'm not positive how that works, but I don't think we can do anything until the case is final. I'm not positive. I'll have to check with the county attorney on that.
With those dogs in Helena, that was the case.
Yeah.
And
That
the
they couldn't-
horses in Yellowstone.
Mhm.
That's what I'm thinking, is how it'll work, is, the disposition of the case will have to be final, and we'll have to have a judge's order that we can, I don't wanna say dispose of, but,
Get them out of your
Yeah,
control.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it would be disposition of property, it'd be dispose of property.
Yeah, it really would be, I guess.
Yeah,
But it's gonna be kind of a long process, or,
I'm thinking.
of course, what's it been, a month already now, then?
Well, it's, yeah, 3 weeks. And we've had 10 ton of hay. So I received that one $600 grant for hay. So that went right to the hay buyer,
What happened to pay for hay?
$175 a ton,
Delivered?
which isn't too bad,
No.
For horse hay,
yeah.
I think I told you that I had a phone call from a lady, from Vicky. So tickled that you guys have taken those horses and were taking care of them and putting them back into the proper shape. She was very appreciative of that.
I received a lot of phone calls from people.
Oh, I'm sure.
Anything else for Brenda?
I don't believe so.
Anything else from Brenda?
Not that I'm thinking.
All right.
I will get with Debbie. Did I just put Debbie down?
No, but I can put it in between these two papers, keep it separate.
So here's a copy of the application.
Now, do we need to sign that or anything, or it's already been
No.
submitted?
It's
Okay.
up, yeah. Yeah, you do everything electronically, so. So I didn't even sign anything.
Thank you. All right. Okay.
That's what I have over there.
Keep it. Absolutely.
Anything else you need from me? And I will keep you updated as far as the grants that I apply for, if I receive anything back from them. I will approve, I'll let her know that I spoke with you guys on this, and as soon as it's listed in the budget, I'll update her on it,
Okay,
so.
sounds good. Yeah.
Well, keep having new babies out there.
No.
Yeah.
When they keep having twins.
Good luck with everything. Let us know if we need, if we can help you.
Okay.
All right, 11:30. Debbie here yet? She will be here in just a moment.
Trudy, do you know how many nanny goats there are out there?
The horses covered in moss.
Are they? We just want to beat those people.
They would tell me if I ran a brush over them, they just scatter and have scabs in different places all over the horses during their lives.
That is sad.
It's that worming that they did on fire should help.
Mhm. As Brenda said, are all the horses broke?
I don't think so. I think there's a couple they had didn't get a halter on it, I think that's that
Oh, is that
road.
right?
But I don't know how they wormed them, I wasn't there for the whole worming thing. And of course, the studs with all the females around this time of year,
Mhm.
one of them's pretty wild.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, he's definitely wants to be the big guy and strikes out, so you have to watch if you're,
One of the studs.
if you're handling him.
He's the king, he wants you to know it, huh?
But he's a little bitty thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they say he's like 14, which I thought he was younger than that, but Wynn seems to handle him pretty well, but when he was bringing him down the alleyway, he was really just, you just gonna stay away, you know. Watch yourself, don't get behind him and in striking distance.
Bad enough to have one stud of 7. Mess.
Welcome, everyone.
Good morning.
It is 11:30, time for the Insurance Review Committee proposal for coverage of premium rate insurance. Share. Our proposal line.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Every year we have to deal with our insurance increase, premiums going up. This year it was only 2.5%, which was a nice change. So the committee got together to decide how we wanted to go to the commissioners and ask for coverage of that 2.5%. Basically boils down to $29 a month per employee. Not much. Or it boils down to $1,508 a month for the remainder of the fiscal year. So the committee has asked me to present this proposal that we'd like the commissioners to pick it up. I did some preliminary looking at reports with Doug as far as potential revenue left to come in. And we've got plenty of revenue left to come in, even if we project conservatively of the uncollected taxes, we'll have enough. Plus the carryover to get us into the new fiscal year like we're supposed to have every year.
It was suggested last year, about May or so, that extra be put in the health insurance to cover the possibility that there would be an increase. So is that what's covering this?
We have to do
proposal?
that every year since we went to Teamsters because they increase the premiums the end of our fiscal year. And the first year that we didn't know that they were gonna do that, caught us off guard. So we have accounted for potential increases in the budget with Teamsters, as long as we have Teamsters to accommodate that. How much is a question because we never know. This year it was only 2.5% compared to last year's 13%. So this was more along the lines of what they sold it to us as, is 2.5% every year. Last year, I don't know why. They said it was just the whole healthcare system is what caused the increase, and it wasn't just them, it was all insurance companies. I don't know, but this year it was a nice surprise to only see 2.5% instead of 13.
And they have their increase in April instead of July, right?
Mhm.
So there was enough set aside last year to take care of this then?
Mhm. And we started doing that following year when we got caught unawares how they do it. So we always be sure we have enough, plus the carryover to get us into the new fiscal year until the budget is set. Since we have to carry that over because we don't know what budget will do. So we're always trying to make sure we have enough, because that's important to cover.
And this would be for for April, May, and June.
For payroll months. So what I take out in March covers April's premium. The rate increase is set for May 1st premiums. So April payroll will have to reflect the new increase. So April, May, June payroll will cover the new increase.
Okay.
And
So we're covered till the end of the year then, according to this.
Mhm. Plus a reserve, if we get just the 20% of uncollected revenue. I sat and worked with Doug and looking at last year, where we were sitting last year versus this year, and what they had got at the end of the year, and we didn't have any issues with uncollected revenue for that. But I'm trying to be conservative, because you never know, we might not get it all this year. And even at 20% of the uncollected, it gets us sitting fairly well for the next 2 months into the new fiscal year until we set our budget, to know if the employees will have